Hi, this is a video on how I make spirits at home using a pure distilling setup and the tomato paste wash, which was done by Bird Watchers. If you search online you'll find the calculator. All the products come from Coles, lemon juice 71ml, yeast 59 grams, the tomato paste, the unsalted one, 206 grams, and sugar 4.73. Using a 30 litre tub, first I fill it up with 15 litres of cold water. I just use tap water at this stage, and top it up to 21 litres with boiling water. That should bring it up to about 36 degrees, which is hot enough to dissolve the sugar once you start stirring it in. The temperature will drop slightly from there, and normal operating temperature once everything's set should be about 26 to 30 degrees I find suitable. Make sure everything is completely sterile between brews. Wash everything down. I use bleach. So just getting the sugar in there, keep it stirring and make sure it's all dissolved, otherwise the yeast won't be able to eat it and turn it into alcohol, and then it becomes a bit of a waste. I've got it sitting in a plastic tub with some water in there. I've got a heater from an aquarium or fish tank, which is set at about 26 degrees. I use this more in the cooler months. In summer you can just leave it sitting on the bench and it'll work quite well. The cost, you're going to run about $6 to $8 a litre for alcohol, which is pretty good compared to $50 to $55 in the shop. It's the tomato paste going in. When you add the lemon, that just helps break the water down and makes it a little bit softer. And the yeast can just sprinkle in on top, it doesn't have to be stirred right in. Don't worry about the red colour, that'll disappear once you just start distilling it. Your alcohol will come out crystal clear. So it's up to 36 now, and it'll start to drop down. When you put the lid on, make sure it is airtight and all your rubbers have been cleaned and things like that, and a little bit of water in the top valve. Once that starts bubbling, you know that the yeast is activated, and it'll run for about 7 to 10 days. You want to then just let it sit, and all the sludge will go to the bottom before you start taking it off. This is after 14 days. There is quite a bit of sludge, about an inch in the bottom, so we'll siphon it off. Again, don't worry about the colour. And when you siphon it off, leave it a little bit in the bottom. You don't have to take every last little bit out. You'll just end up with more rubbish going into your heater before you start stilling it off. I've just got a 10 litre bucket there. It takes a couple of loads with the siphon, hand priming. And if you put a hole in the top of the bucket, it means you don't have to try and hold the other end bench height, and then just sitting on a little stool. And that's the last of the sludge in there. I've left about 500 mils of water. The dog at the bottom is called Chester. He's a rescue dog. He's only down with me because my wife's gone off shopping, and he loves attention. When she comes home I won't see him again. I think he thinks I've got something to eat down there. Right, getting it all set up now. You'll see that I don't have water running down, a hose running down to the shed, so I've got an old solo bin which I filled up and put a pond pump in there which will pump the water quite easily up and around the cooling system. Just standard garden hose attachments going on there, inlet and outlet. Make sure you don't have the outlet running back into the tub submerged, otherwise you'll build up a back pressure and it'll start to heat up. So there it is, quick and simple, and as I say, just a pond pump that I bought at Bunnings in there. It'll pump up to 5 meters high, so that's more than enough, and I've got it closed off so there's not too much pressure in there. Right, the little cup, you want to take off the first 100 mils once it starts heating up and producing liquid. This is the stuff they sell at Barley and near kills teenagers, and I think probably it's poisonous, so just get rid of it sensibly, or some people do save it and add water, a little bit of water to it, and use it for cleaning windows and things like that. Through the process, you want to have your alarm set for about 2 degrees above your normal operating temperature. For me, once it's running, it starts producing alcohol at about 76 degrees Celsius, and I have the alarm set for 78. So this is it just starting to drip now. On top, your switch should be on the half position, which is, we'll see in a second. There, got the 100 ml. At this stage you've got rid of all the rubbish, and you can put a bigger container there and start your full distill. You'll switch the tap to the full on position and run that until the alarm again goes off once it reaches 78 degrees. There we go, onto the full. Once the alarm goes off, switch it back to the half position again. It'll continue to produce alcohol for quite a while. This normally happens about 1.5 to 2 litres produced. Once you switch it back to the half position, after a few minutes the temperature will drop back down. That's running nice. If the temperature gets up too high, you're not going to produce any alcohol, just produce rubbish. So we're back in the half position there. The alarm's gone off, so it's time to turn the boiler off and let it cool down. Leave the water running for a while so it cools everything down prior to removing it. I'll let it drop back down to about 40 degrees on there. Then I can release the top, turn the water off. It should have about 2.6 litres of alcohol now, and been gone into your filter. It's a carbon filter. They say use a new filter every time, but I run it for a whole season and have no issues. So it's just sitting about 95% pure alcohol there. If you use a calculator, you can get an app off the internet and work out what percentage you want. So I started going at 25%, which is still a lot stronger than wine, but I can have a few drinks without ending up under the table in the first few hours. I was doing it at 40%, but it was a bit of a killer, and yeah, had a few friends that had to be driven home. So you put in 95% is your quality, 2.5 or 2.6 litres. Percentage required 25, and it'll tell you how much water to add, which is 7 litres in this case, and that'll give me 9.26 litres of alcohol at 25%. So add your 7 litres of water. I buy the 10 litre packs from Bunnings of the bottled water. It's a little bit better quality at this stage. Some people like to filter the water through the filter again. I don't worry about it. I just add it to the filtered alcohol in the bottom. Again, make sure everything you use is cleaned afterwards with a little bit of bleach and rinsed out. So there we are, about 25% alcohol. And the temperature's dropped back down here, so I can go and clean it out. At this stage I boil a jug of water and turn the still upside down, or the tower upside down, and clean it through with boiling water. You can't pull these apart and pull it all out, so the boiling water sterilises anything and washes any remaining muck out of there, any deposits. Right, using top shelf bottles, so buy mine off the internet, it's a bit cheaper than going to the store. There's hundreds of flavours, whiskies, rums, different gins, whatever you want. It's just a matter of buying the bottle. A bottle will give you enough flavouring for a 750ml bottle. You can see the little black marks on the side there. If you're using litre bottles, I just split one bottle in half. Average bottle on the internet is going to cost about $7, and that'll do you 3 litres. I add a teaspoonful of glycerin, which I buy online. It's a food grade glycerin. It's a sweetener, and it gives it what some people call a mouth appeal to your spirits. It takes that bite off it, and it's almost like aging it 4 or 5 years straight up. So with that mixed in, can go into the bottle, and it's ready for adding the rest of the alcohol for bottling. Try not to mix your flavours, rinse it out in between if you're doing 2 or 3 different flavours at a time. You can get liqueurs where you add different bases, crystal bases and powder bases. I may do one on that later on. You do some nice Gallianos, Black Sambuca and things like that. There's quite a variety of whiskies, gins, as I say, tequilas, and you'll see my shelf later on. On the bottle label, which I've made my own labels, I found on the internet a site called Labelizer, Beer Labelizer, and you can make all your own labels from there. This is a new one from Top Shelf called Sea Beast, which is similar to your Kraken, so I haven't tried this one yet. This is the first go. Your Beer Labelizer, as I say, make all your own labels. At the end of the run, I'll write on there what brew this number was and the date, so I can put it aside, put it at the back of the shelf and let it get a bit of age on it, and it improves the flavour. I'm up to brew 7, this is brew 68. I started in 2016 and saved myself an absolute fortune, although you probably drink a little bit more because the cost is down. Great for Christmas presents, birthday presents. You can even make up personalised labels. So that was what I got out of this distill, and as I say, it works out between $6 and $8 a litre. That's my whole setup and down the shed. And some of the labels you'll see here are ones I've produced, and some I've just saved the bottles and will be given bottles, and I'll put in the relevant alcohols into those bottles. One day I'll get round to lining the shed.